All right. How's everybody doing? Ready for another virtual jiu-jitsu fundamentals class today? We're going to be sticking with our theme of closed guard. We've done the last few classes on that, and we're going to stick with it. It's one of the positions that in the fundamental stage of jiu-jitsu is really important to have a good grasp of, and there's so many different techniques and things to get exposure to and get some repetitions on and things like that. So we could go on and on for almost ever on just the closed guard, but we're going to hit at least a few more classes on it before we move on to some other material. So what we'll do is we'll have Mira start in my closed guard for today. So from the closed guard, you remember we've been talking the last few classes that ideally for me to start my offense, for me to start my offense, I want her posture broken down. I want to be able to collapse her and be in a position where I can, easily control the back of her head and neck, and that's ideally what I'm going to want. Okay. However, sometimes my partner does get their posture up a little bit, and I'm going to want to have some attacks that I can do from here as well, in addition to trying to break them down. Okay? So that's what we're going to look at for today. When I was a white belt through probably even like purple belt, I would say, this was for sure my favorite sweep. I would do this like all the time, and eventually people get wise to it and you can't hit it anymore, but it did me wonders for like white belt, blue belt, and even some of purple belt. Okay, so it's just a basic hip bump sweep. My coach also, when I first started, we would joke and they would call it the white belt killer sweep because a lot of white belts, they know they're supposed to get up, but they actually lean back excessively here, and it makes the sweep actually pretty easy to get. Okay? Now let's talk a little bit of safety before we do it. If you guys can look at Mira's toes, you see how she has what we call active toes, where her toes are engaged into the mat. For Mira's safety in this, she's actually going to want to go laces down. So yeah, she's going to want to be like that so that she doesn't roll over her ankles in a tough way with this. And so as you follow along, make sure whoever's on top does laces down like that. And in general, when I'm coaching the top player, that's actually how I would coach them to be anyway, even if we're learning to do like sparring and offense from the top. That's a better position, I think, because you can get your base lower down. You're harder to off balance usually. Okay? But for today, definitely be laces down there. Okay? So in general, for the hip bump sweep, what's going to happen is I'm going to understand that Mira is up and back and away from me. So me trying to sweep her forward, like last class where we did the pendulum sweep, is going to be difficult. So what I want to do is take her the direction that she's already leaning, which is more backwards. Okay? And so in order to do this, I'm realistically probably going to need to unlock my legs and plant them onto the mat. While I plant them up, okay, cramping still. Mira's having some foot cramps. Mira's having some foot cramps. Yeah. So you can go stretch that out, and I'm going to do some isolation. You never know what's going to happen in the middle of a live class. So she's going to stretch out her foot cramp. Okay. This is totally going on the blooper reel, by the way. Okay. So pretend I've got my closed guard. I'm going to unlock my legs. I'm going to plant my feet on the mat, and then I need to have no hesitation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my arm reach at a diagonal. So my left arm is reaching to my right side, and I'm going to prop up to my straight arm like this. And then they call it a hip bump sweep because I need to get my hips up and into my opponent. Now this arm is in the sky because I'm going to be latching her arm so that she can't reach her arm out to post and stop my sweep. And then I'm going to spin over and get to the top position. And a big detail for this, so I'm trying to buy Mira a little bit more time with her with her foot cramp. A big detail is, again, we call it a hip bump sweep. So my hips need to elevate and basically collide with Mira. Okay? This is going to be low percentage. It's not going to work well if you leave your butt down on the mat or you leave it pretty close to the mat. So understand that this is very important to get my hips up into the air and drive my hips forward into Mira. She should feel like she just kind of got like body checked a little bit by my hips as we do this. All right? So let's hope her foot cramp has resolved itself, and we're going to try it again. All right. So we're into the closed guard. All right? She is going to be doing something not holding me down. She can't be leaning back and holding me down at the same time, right? So maybe she's like thinking about trying to push on my legs, open my legs. Who knows what she's doing? But something where she's up like this. So I'm going to quickly unlock my legs, and I'm going to shoot this arm like I'm trying to rest my armpit onto her collarbone. Okay? Like I'm trying to rest my armpit onto her collarbone. Now my butt is on the mat right now, and I can't put my armpit on her collarbone yet, even though I'm much taller than Mira is. I've got to get my hips up off the mat, and now I can get my armpit on her collarbone. And I'm going to try to hold her arm like this so that she can't put it out to stop the sweep. From here, I spin a 180, and now I'm into the mount position. To secure the mount, I'll want to probably get a nice wide hand, and I'm going to drop my hips into her, keeping my feet touching each other behind her butt or behind her hamstring. Okay, let's look at this one more time. And after I show one more time, then we'll trade rolls. And if you're following along at home, then the other person will get a few repetitions at that point. All right? So we're in the closed guard, and my partner got their posture. Okay? Again, this is not a move I would try if her posture is down like this. I wouldn't try this move. Okay? I need to recognize her posture is up and maybe even leaning backwards a little bit. So I'm going to unlock my legs, and I'm going to sit up, and I'm going to try to cover her collarbone, kind of all this embroidery on here. I'm going to try to cover that with my armpit. But right now I can only reach with my elbow because my hips are still on the ground. So I need to get my hips up and our bodies connected. Now I can cover all that embroidery with my armpit, and I can scoop under her arm this way. I keep my hips connected, spin, and to secure the position, my hands go wide, and I try to drop my pelvis into her stomach from right here, keeping my feet touching underneath the foot bone. All right, so now Mira's going to come on the side I was at. We'll just trade rolls. And we'll just walk through everything, and we'll go nice and slow, step by step. Okay? So Mira's going to lie down on her back, and I'm into her closed guard. Now remember what we said earlier. You see how I have my feet oriented like this? We call this laces down, and that's how we want to be as the top player. If I'm active toes like this, it's in general not something that I recommend, and for this specific one, I think that's really actually kind of dangerous because I can get my foot and ankle and knee rolled over in a pretty bad way. Okay, so laces are down. Now, I've achieved a position where I'm maybe up taller like this. Okay, so that's the scenario. So what Mira is going to do, and you're following along with, she's going to unlock her legs, plant her feet on the mat close to me so that it's still fairly snug. She doesn't want to go ultra wide. From here, she's going to try to make her left arm reach up over my left shoulder, and she'll come to her right arm to make that a little easier, all into a straight arm. Okay? Now, she can't reach that far yet because her butt's still on the mat. So her next step is she lifts her butt as high off the mat as she can and connects her body to me, and her left arm traps mine, so I can't move it too much. Now she continues to drive her hips into me, and she spins over, down. Okay? And now she got on the top position, so she's going to try to immediately make her feet very close together under my butt, drop her hips into me, and make her hands really wide. Okay? Feet even snugger under here. Yes, just like that. That's a good, strong position. All right, let's do another one. Okay, so let's just center my camera. All right, so as the top player, I'm laces down with my feet, and I'm giving Mira a feed where I'm up tall. Okay? She unlocks her legs, sits up and tries to make her left arm cover my left arm. To get the full height, she lifts her hips high into the air, connects to my arm very tightly, and then drives us up and over. Good. Now she drops her hips into me. She keeps her heels connected to my butt, and her hands are nice and wide and maybe a little farther in the front. Yeah, something like that is going to be pretty good. Okay. All right, let's have Mira do one more rep. And again, if you're watching at home, you go ahead and do your reps at the same time that she does. Let's do this very slow. Okay, so I'm laces down and I'm up nice and tall here. She's going to unlock her legs, sit up and cover my left arm with hers. She gets her hips high up into me, starts to drive over. Okay, perfect. And then she's got this great skydiver position to hold the mount. Okay. So I think we can all see how Mira really improved her position there, going from the bottom to in a somewhat neutral position where, it's sort of 50-50 her and I, versus the mount is, one of the best positions in jiu-jitsu. If you were in a jiu-jitsu competition, typically what Mira just did would score 6 points. 2 points for the sweep, where she went from the guard to the top position, and then 4 points for getting the mount position. So not only is it good just for, fighting purposes or just putting her in a more dominant position, if you were somebody that wanted to compete in jiu-jitsu, that would be a very high point scoring series that she just did there too. Okay. Yeah. All right, so now what we're going to do is look at another really common thing that happens with this. Okay, so if I'm doing this hip bump sweep on Mira, and Mira's aware of kind of what's going on, and she realizes that, oh, Tony's going for the hip bump sweep right now, she's gonna think that she might take this hand, and she knows I wanna try to block her from putting it on the mat, so she's gonna try to beat me to the punch and maybe put her hand on the mat over there to stop it. Okay. Now, obviously, Mira's demonstrating very high hips right now. She couldn't reach her hand from that with high hips, so she'd probably sit back down, and then her hand can hit the mat from there. So if you're following along at home, make sure that we're doing that. Otherwise, the move won't really make much sense. Right? And even if Mira was in a high hip position, right, remember, I'm coming up and I'm trying to hit her pretty hard with my hips. And so my impact of my hips might knock her back like that anyway. Okay? But for now, to just save yourself the trouble, have the bottom player start with their butt and their heels pretty much touching. My foot was blocking it. Okay, so we'll have Mira scoot this way just a little bit. Okay. All right, so she's going to sit just like that, which in general is how you typically sit in the closed guard anyway. Okay. All right, so I unlock my legs and I start to sit up. Mira's like, oh, I don't want this arm to get, so she's going to start reaching it over there. Very hard for me to finish the sweep from here. So I'm going to go back where I came from, but now this arm is vulnerable and I'm going to go into a submission attack from here. Okay. So my left arm is going to stay over hers, and then my right hand is going to look to make a control of her wrist as I fall back. Okay? So I'm going to make this hand, my right hand, make a control of her wrist as I fall back. At the same time I'm making that control and I'm falling back, my right leg is going to try to go right across her shoulders up here to make her almost face plant down into the mat. Okay, so I'm here, I'm going to grab, and I'm going to try to make her almost face plant. Now, she's not going to want to face plant, so she's going to be trying to stay up a little bit. But here's what I'm going to do next, and you just try to relax. So I'm going to try to connect my wrists, right? We call this a figure four grip. So this arm sort of snaked behind her arm, and I've got my own wrist here, okay? Now I've got my own wrist. Now, her arm is pretty straight right now, so I want to try to bend her arm. Relax. I'm going to try to bend her arm quite a bit, and I'm going to be trying to basically slide her hand to try to make her hand touch the back of her head. Now it's going to hurt her, so she's going to tap the mat with her free hand when this starts to hurt. Okay, so there's the tap, and I let go. Okay. So that submission is called Kimura. Kimura. And it's one of the staple submissions of jiu-jitsu, and it's very versatile. It's one of the submissions you can get from bottom, from top, from all sorts of different places, and it's a good one to have some versatility with. Okay. So let's look at it one more time. And before we do, again, I really appreciate Mira being a good sport and jumping in with these for me. She's never really done any jiu-jitsu before we started these classes. But one thing that I do when I'm an instructor is I try to teach both roles. I try to teach how to do the move and also how to be a good partner for it. So Mira's never done this move before. And so we're going to kind of explain that if we're actually in a match, you pretty much never want to just like belly flop down, right? The other person's always going to be trying to like stay up at least a little bit. So on the next one, she'll have a little bit of an effort to kind of try to stay up, and it'll give a little bit more of a realistic feed. Because if she actually did belly flop, then I would just easily get on the top position, which is what she was trying to avoid anyway, right? She was trying to stay on top. It should be the idea. Okay. All right. So let's run through it again. So we're here. She's laces down and she's sitting on her heels. Okay. So I unlock. I start to come up. She puts her hand on the mat. Perfect, just like that. So I'm going to make my hand control her wrist, and then my leg goes up to her shoulders. Okay? Just like this. Okay? So if she leaves her arm straight, she'll get submitted on her elbow almost immediately. So usually this person, they try to bend their arm to buy them a little bit of time. Okay? So now here's where a big part of the battle is going to happen. My leg right now is not in a good position. It's only over Mira's butt. Okay? So if Mira wanted to get her posture back up, she could easily do it. Yeah, which is what she probably should do if she's able to. That would be the best move for her. Okay? She wants to get her posture up. I don't want that. So I need to angle to the side. So don't fall down. Yeah, right up there. So that my leg is up by her head now. And now I'm going to do my Kimura. And she taps out from the Kimura. Okay? All right. And so now we'll trade, and Mira's going to do it on me. And if you're following along at home, then you guys will do it with Mira. And again, if you have any questions, add them into the chat feature. I've seen a couple people sign in already. But any questions, go ahead and add them to the chat, and I'll answer them before we dismiss class today. All right. So Mira's going to put me in the closed guard. Okay, so she's going to unlock her legs, sit up, and start to go for the sweep. I'm going to reach my hand out because I don't want her to do the sweep. So her right hand is going to make a grip on my hand. Okay? As we fall, she's going to try to use this leg to knock me down and make her leg go high in my head. Good. She's going to connect her, so she's going to leave her left arm around, snake it around mine, and make a grip of her own wrist into what we call a figure four. Okay? This is excellent. Mira's doing a great job keeping her leg up high by my shoulders. I feel it in a very good spot. And Mira's going to try to turn her body to lay onto her left side. Turn her body to lay on her left side. Yes, okay. It's almost a tap out. And all she's got to do is push my hand a little bit more to my head. And there's the tap out. Okay? All right. Let's show from another angle. Let's show from kind of about straight on right here. All right. So Mira's going to unlock her legs, sit up, go for the sweep. Good. I'm going to reach and stop it. So her right hand's going to make a control of my wrist, and her leg knocks me over. Okay? She right away makes the figure four control. That's very important, so do that immediately. Right now, her leg's in a good spot, but if I sit up hard, I can maybe win. So what she needs to do is turn onto her left side as much as she can. Yes, as much as you can there. Okay. Yep, that's it right there. This is almost a tap out. She pushes my hand 1 inch. And there's the tap out. So that switch is very important. Okay. That thing that Mira did at the end where she tries to, instead of laying flat on her back and trying to do it, she switches so that her butt is in the air and she does it that way. So let's show one last time, and then we'll see if there's any last questions, and then we'll call it a day after that. So Mira's going to go head toward the camera again. We'll back up just a little to make sure we get it all on camera. All right, so she unlocks her legs, sits up, goes for the sweep. I block. She makes the control of the wrist, knocks me down, gets the figure 4 grip. Yes, exactly, just like that. Okay, so now Mira's a little bit on her side, but what she wants to do is try to twist her butt all the way off of the mat. Yes, this is very good. Now this bottom leg is going to like wrap around my waist. Yep, just like that. Her top leg is trying to make it hard for me to lift my head up, so she's trying to make it as high up as possible. And then she goes to try to make my hand touch my head. And there's the tap out. So, good job. Okay. All right, so that's the main material that we have for today. We'll give it a second. If anybody has any questions before we dismiss class, go ahead and add them into the chat right now. And then otherwise, just some key details while anybody thinks of any questions. Again, the hip bump sweep, I need to get my hips up as high as possible and really connect them to my partner. Okay? And then if they block the hip bump sweep and you want to transition to the Kimura, it's a great combination, and you want to make sure that you make your wrist control on their wrist immediately, and you want their posture down. So that's going to be one of the big things, is you really need to keep their posture down as much as possible, and in order to do that, the best tactic you have is switch from being flat on your back to being on your side, so your butt is kind of up in the air instead of your butt being on the mat. Looks like a question came in, so let's take a look at that, and we'll get that answered before we sign out of here. Oh, yeah. So the comment was, Wynn didn't let go when Chuck tapped. So yeah, definitely let go of the submission when your partner taps out. Mira may have done that with me a couple of times before too. So yeah, safety first, guys. All right, we'll give it about 10 more seconds, see if any other questions come in. Chuck and Wynn, glad you guys are enjoying. All right, well, I appreciate the feedback coming in. If there's any questions for anybody that's watching this after the fact that you weren't able to make it live, then just leave them in the comment section of the video. And then we've got another class, same time tomorrow, 2 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow, same on YouTube, also on closed guard material. So if you didn't make this one live, hopefully next one. So, thank you. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a good one.